Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. We've got a fun guest coming up in the program. I'm going to be visiting with Douglas Preston, and the topic is the lost city of the monkey god. I'm going to have to find out what that means, but that's coming up later in the program, and I'm excited to find out what I'm talking about. Hey, I've got a good quote for you, too. The best revenge is massive success. Frank Sinatra said that. I think he did okay, didn't he?
He did more than okay.
More than okay, yeah. Listen to this. Nearly 4 in 10 women have either decreased or totally stopped using Facebook in the last month.
I've definitely decreased over the last month.
And
Big
this is
time.
4 in 10 women, but I'm a man, and I've also decreased just because I don't have much time anymore. And it seems like everybody's angry on there these days. Take a listen to this. The average square inch of skin holds 650 sweat glands, 20 blood vessels, and 60,000 melanocytes, whatever that is. I don't know what a melanocyte is, but it's a bunch of them on your skin.
I would assume it's like cells that hold melanoma.
Could be. I don't know. A lot of stuff there. We jammed a lot in that break. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. It's Friday, March the 24th, International Day for the Right to the Truth Concerning Gross Human Rights Violation and Dignity of Victims.
That's a big, long phrase.
It is. I was going to put a bumper sticker on my car, but it wrapped all the way around it twice. It's also National Chocolate-Covered Raisins Day.
Yuck.
It's a good way to ruin some chocolate right there. I'm just kidding. They're not bad.
No,
it's
they're gross.
Red Nose Day today. It is World Tuberculosis Day today, and it's U.S. Snowshoe Day today. Is this a weird time to have Snowshoe Day? Wouldn't you think you'd have that like earlier in the year?
Yeah, shouldn't that be January-ish?
Yeah, because Monday was the first day of spring. You'd think they'd at least put that in, winter. I don't know. Anyway, that's all the stuff that's going on today. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John and Heidi. Join us for 80s in the Sand, a week-long 80s event this November 11th through the 18th in beautiful Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic.
Meet and listen to 80s bands like Loverboy, Starship, Howard Jones, and many more.
Plus, meet 80s icons from the movies like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. A sign of cruelty, cruel and unusual punishment for a child, ? That's the headline. A Florida schoolboy was forced to stand outside of his home with a sign around his neck saying he is a thief. The sign said, "I am a thief. I steal from my parents." That was the quote on the sign. That doesn't sound good. Stepfather of Kendrick Taylor says he wasn't mistreating the 11-year-old. He was just trying to humiliate him.
I don't have a problem with that.
I understand. But, he's saying, I'm just trying to get him to know you're not supposed to steal. The youngster...
If he's embarrassed by it, it shouldn't be something he's doing. If it's something he's proud of, he shouldn't have a problem with standing out on the street with a sign. So I have no problem with it.
The youngster took just over $1 from his mother's purse, and he had to stand outside with a sign for 2.5 hours. His mother, Regina, said she hopes the punishment will make him realize the difference between right and wrong. The News Journal reported a steady stream of drivers slowing down as they passed the boy so they could read the sign. So he was causing a traffic jam because everybody's like, hey, I got to slow down and see that naughty boy. What did he do? I wonder if anybody asked him what he did.
I think for less than $1, that's a bit extreme.
It wasn't. It was just over $1.
Okay.
So
either way, I thought maybe he stole like $100 from his mom or something. $1? Come on. Give the kid $1. If he needs $1, give him $1.
There you go. Heidi, can I have $1?
No.
Oh, come on.
But
you can make me stand outside now.
I just think that was a bit harsh.
It could be a bit much.
For that much.
2.5 hours for $1? Yeah. Maybe if he was out there for 10 minutes or something. But
yeah,
I'll bet he probably learned his lesson.
Probably won't do that again.
Yeah, most likely won't do that again. Coming up, we've got more fun stuff on the Friday edition of the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. Federal authorities have a beef with a guy for driving some cattle and a little more that came with it. Customs inspectors charge Edwin Fuller with a bunch of different things. He got a lot of charges because he was smuggling pot under his floorboard trailer, the trailer floorboard. This is the worst part. It says, authorities say Fuller was hauling cattle across the U.S.-Canadian border when x-rays showed there was something, extra there. And this is what I think is disgusting. First, they had to scrape the cow poop off.
Okay.
So they had manure all over the floor. Had to scrape all of that off and then unbolt the false panels. Authorities said they found hundreds of plastic bags containing 1,700 pounds of illegal marijuana.
Wow.
So all of that manure. And
That's a good cover. I mean, the smell would be masked. Even the drug-sniffing dogs would probably have a hard time finding
dogs
that.
are like, yeah, just move on. This is disgusting. Anyway, they got caught, so it wasn't that smart. Coming up, your moment of duh.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. George Alberti worked as a healthcare caseworker for Sonoma County, California for 14 years, interviewing Medi-Cal clients by phone. Then he applied for a promotion that would require him to go out in public and meet with clients in person. He was denied that because he has panic attacks and agoraphobia. That's a fear of going out in public. So he went on permanent medical disability and sued the county for not accommodating his disability. A jury has awarded him $6.5 million in damages.
Wow.
So he had a job making phone calls, and then he applied for a job where he would have to go out in public. He did not get the job because they said, well, sorry, George, you said you're agoraphobic. You have a fear of public. We're not going to have you go out in public. So he sued them because, now here's my question. If they had given him the raise,
How on earth would they accommodate that particular disability? You can't accommodate that disability in sales.
I don't understand. If they had given him the job and then accommodated
and then they fired him because he wasn't making any sales, then no matter what they would have done, it would have been wrong.
$6.5 million. I bet you're going to see more people who are
absolutely ridiculous.
You're going to see a lot of people who miraculously are agoraphobic, I'll bet. I got a feeling that's coming. We've got the scoop of the day, and I guarantee you that's on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your Scoop of the Day. Did you see this online? Woody Harrelson, you might know him from the movies he was in or from Cheers, back when he was Woody on Cheers. He stopped smoking marijuana. Publicly announced that. I'm proud of you, Woody. That's cool. So,
okay.
What do you mean, okay? You're just kind of looking around.
I mean, whatever. That's fine.
You may find this hard to believe, but apparently there's a belief circulating in the NBA that the Earth is flat. It says Kyrie Irving of the Cleveland Cavaliers first revealed his flat Earth beliefs last month. Now retired basketball player Shaquille O'Neal has come out and said the world is flat.
What the heck?
In an episode of his podcast broadcast in February, only recently picked up by the media, Shaq says, it's true. The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat. Yes, it is. So that was my impression of Shaquille O'Neal, apparently, which was not very good. But he's what is
up with these people? I mean, there have been pictures of it from space.
Yeah, and
we know it's not flat.
And when you travel, you go around a globe, and
they're just idiots. Whatever. I have no respect for anybody who says something like that. They're idiots. They clearly paid no attention.
I kind of wonder if they're just looking for some attention. Hey, Russia's anti-corruption czar says the cost of a bribe in Russia has jumped by 75%. They have an anti-corruption czar, and bribes are more expensive. That is just funny to me. Hey, the Weather Channel says that they're going to name a winter storm after Stephen Colbert next year. So they're going to have a winter storm Colbert. Interesting. New Zealand River is the first. I don't know, because he asked him to.
Because he's a disaster?
I don't know. I don't think he's a disaster, but I don't know. New Zealand River is the first in the world to be granted the same rights as humans. So there's a river that has human rights now in New Zealand. I don't know why. Heidi looks like her head is going to explode right now. This whole
I am
show.
so irritated. I'm so irritated.
Why don't you just take a Xanax and rest over there in the corner? Nearly half of Canadians want to deport people who are illegally crossing into the Canadian border from the U.S., and a similar number disapprove of how Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is handling the influx, because there are people heading there.
Shocker.
That's one side of the country. Now let's go to the southern side of the country. After students from Pleasant Run Elementary School in Indianapolis won a robotics challenge recently, several competing students were heard shouting, "Go back to Mexico." Well, that's not nice.
No, that's not nice.
That's not nice at all. New studies conclude that depression among pregnant women is at least as common as postpartum depression. So they're saying, hey, you're depressed even while you're pregnant, not just, afterwards. A new study from Manchester Metropolitan University found that there is more bacteria on your cell phone than on a door handle or a shoe sole or a toilet seat. So I'm going to be sanitizing my phone when we get done here. That's disgusting.
Whatever. My gosh.
that's
Get
gross.
over it. Germs are everywhere.
I just don't
You
like
need to
germs.
build up your immunity.
I
Here.
apparently have. She's licking her phone. Would you stop that? Oh. Researchers say eating a daily dose of dark chocolate can reduce your chances of dying of a stroke or a heart attack. That's good news. And in a study that's not related other than the fact that I'm reading it next, according to a study, women who drink moderately are less likely to gain weight.
Because I call big old BS on that one.
But if you drink moderately and then you go, hey, I'm in the mood for some more of that chocolate, that could be the problem, maybe. And finally, I don't know why we need to know this, but swinging your arms while walking saves energy and it's good for your legs. That's the result of a study to find out, quote, why humans naturally swing their arms instead of holding them still while walking, end quote. So
Have you
there's a
ever
study.
tried to hold your arm still while you walk?
I've done it before.
It
feels weird.
really
Yeah, it
weird.
does, but it's not like it can't do it.
And you look stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. What if you have your hands in your pockets? Does that look stupid?
No.
Okay, well, that's what I'll do. Coming up, we've got a special guest, and then we've got some fun facts. That's all
But the
on
Crocs
the way.
won't help.
That's all on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Radio advertising works. When it's done right, it works even better. There are many things you can do to get a better response, and shouting sale really isn't the best thing, believe it or not. Did you know that when you put words to music, they're 9 times more memorable? If you're trying to get people to remember your company, consider a jingle. We work with one of the very best jingle companies in the business, and we'd love to use music to help you grow your company. Learn more and hear examples at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. I've got a fun guest to talk to today, and this is one of those things where it's like almost too good to be true, but it is true. There's a book called The Lost City of the Monkey God, and it's based on a true story about a city that was just discovered in a jungle. And we've got the author, and he was actually there to see it, Douglas Preston, joining us right now. Douglas, how are you, sir?
I'm good.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us here today. And The Lost City of the Monkey God, a true story, Grand Central Publishing. So it's a true story. Now, tell me a little bit about this story and tell me a little bit about how you came upon this story.
Well, it's the true story of the discovery of a lost city in the jungles of Honduras in 2015, and the exploration of that city and so forth. And it's incredible. It's almost impossible to think that you could actually still find a lost city on the surface of the earth somewhere in the 21st century, but that's exactly what happened. And so the book talks about that discovery and what we found there.
Now, it's been lost for a long time, but since they found it and they've been kind of going through this, how long has it been since somebody has been there? Do they know? Do you have an idea?
Well, the city was abandoned probably about 500 years ago, very suddenly in a horrific disaster or something, really a very sudden abandonment. And no one had been in the valley since, apparently. And when we arrived in 2015, it was a tropical, well, I can't call it a paradise because it was a very dangerous and hostile jungle environment, but the animals there had never seen people before. They wandered about our camp unconcerned. It was really a remarkably preserved, untouched part of the surface of the Earth. Really one of the last scientifically unexplored places on Earth.
And how was this discovered? Because I'm looking at the info. It sounds like it was discovered a little differently than normal.
Well, it was. It was completely different. It was a very high technology called LIDAR, which is it's $1 million machine flown in the interior of an airplane, takes up the entire interior, and you can fly this over the thickest jungle in the world, and it can actually map the ground underneath the jungle canopy. So in 2012, a team of scientists, geoengineers, and so forth mapped 3 unexplored valleys in these interior mountains of Honduras, covered with jungle, to see if anything was there, and they found this lost city. There was, of course, many legends and rumors about this city beforehand, but it was quite an astonishing discovery. I mean, over a mile square, there are pyramids, fake earthworks, plazas, roads, irrigation canals, and so forth, all hidden under this really thick jungle canopy.
Do we have any idea where the inhabitants of this city had gone to? Do we know what happened, what their fate was?
Well, we do. The excavation of part of the city in 2016 revealed the fate of these people, and it's really incredibly tragic. They, even though this area was never explored or reached by the Spanish conquistadors or even any Europeans, in fact, we were the first Europeans in there in ever. Even though this area was unexplored and uncontacted by the conquistadors, European disease did work its way into this valley and wiped out about 90% of the inhabitants of the city. And the survivors took all their most precious objects, sculptures, beautiful thrones, and all kinds of things, and left them at the base of the central pyramid as an offering, their gods, and then walked out. And where they went, we do not know. So
now, the time frame of when these people were alive, how does that compare to like the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incas and all the different things that we've heard of?
Well, this culture, which is very mysterious, we don't know much about it, grew up on the Maya frontier, about 200 miles east of Topan. But they weren't Maya themselves, even though they built pyramids and everything else. They had a different culture. And when Copan collapsed in 900 A.D., this culture suddenly had a florescence. And their city reached its height around 1200, 1300 A.D. So they built, this tremendous complex in the jungle. And then in 1500, vanished almost immediately from probably measles and smallpox that were brought in by Europeans and then jumped into the native populations and then burned deep into the interior of these mountains.
That is absolutely crazy. Again, visiting right now with Douglas Preston. He's got a book, The Lost City of the Monkey God, and it's a true story that you would not believe if because it just sounds too good to be true, but it's absolutely true. It really, truly happened. Now, Mr. Preston, I have a question. I don't know how this works, and you probably know the answer, but who owns this city? Is it the person who discovered it? Is it like finders keepers, or how does that work?
No, it's owned by the government of Honduras, and everything found in the city belongs to the government of Honduras, and they brought out incredibly beautiful sculptures in stone and artifacts, which are, some of them are now on display in the palace, the governmental palace in Tegucigalpa, which is the capital of Honduras, and they're also building a museum about 80 miles outside of this jungle, where a lot of the objects are being curated and put on display as well. So there will be an opportunity for people to see these objects pretty soon. So
if we would like to see them in your book, are there photos or are there images where you can kind of see some of the stuff in that you had a chance to see?
Yes, there are. In fact, when we discovered this cache of objects, only the tops, just the heads of the sculptures were peeking above the surface of the ground, and it was obvious there were many there. We saw 50 of them, initially, and then when they excavated, they found over 500 of these sculptures. But they were beautiful. The jaguars, vultures, deadly snakes, jars, thrones decorated with strange symbols. It was really a remarkable collection of artifacts.
That's absolutely fascinating. Now, the book, again, is called The Lost City of the Monkey God, and it's a true story. Is this available right now where we can go and purchase it?
It is, yeah. You can get it from Amazon or any bookstore. It's out there. It's actually been on the New York Times bestseller list for these past couple of months here. So it should be available anywhere you can find a book.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to visit with us here, and what a fascinating story, and just sounds like such a neat thing. And it's weird that in this day and age that we're still discovering things like this. So that's really a cool thing.
Well, thank you. It was quite something to be on that expedition and see these things myself. I could hardly believe my eyes.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to not only do that, but also to put a book together to kind of share so we can all live vicariously through you and get a chance to be our own little inner Indiana Jones as well.
Thank you.
And again, on the line, we have been visiting today with Douglas Preston. He is the author of The Lost City of the Monkey God. It is a true story, and it is available right now. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Many people go to college, but when they graduate, they've racked up a ton of debt. Not everyone, though. Matthew Einstone saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then, after everyone wanted to know how he did it, he built a system to show you how to do it, too. Learn how you can use his system for yourself or for your kids. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Watch a few videos there for free. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. That's freeeducationuniversity.com. Use promo code Radio20 to save 20%.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Cattle can produce up to 180 liters of saliva in just one day. Ugh. It's a lot of cow spit.
There's a lot.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The banana is the world's largest herb. I think we've talked about that before. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Ancient Chinese artists would never paint pictures of women's feet.
Oh.
I don't know why, but it says that they wouldn't. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Nolan Ryan was the first baseball player to make over $1 million in a single season. That's pretty cool. And I know we've talked about this before because I remember having the comment after. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Women shoplift more than men. The ratio is 4-1. Because I remember we were talking about that, and I think you said it's because they have a purse.
The things that they steal,
Yeah, they can stuff
and
them
the
in a
things
purse.
that they steal would be smaller, like
Little-
foundation and makeup items.
What kind of stuff do you steal, Heidi?
I don't steal.
Oh, okay. I'm just
But I'm
checking.
just saying, think of the stuff that men want. They want big screen TVs. It's kind of hard to steal those things, but women, the stuff that they want is small.
There you
So
go.
it's probably a little easier for them.
See, now we know. Thanks for listening to a couple of fun facts for you on a Friday.
John and Heidi.
This is Richard Lustig, the world's first and only 7-time lottery game grand prize winner. Since I endorsed Lottolicious, I have won something every single draw. They do all the work. You don't have to worry about running to the store to buy your tickets. They take care of all that. So if you're looking for the best way to play the lottery, to give yourself the best chance of winning, go to radiolottopool.com and join today. Again, that website is radiolottopool.com.
John and Heidi.
All right, we've got a story here that might make Heidi's head explode. We've had several of these weird stories today that are just people that are trying to get away with stuff, and this one is interesting too. There is a judge that has taken more than 400 sick days in the last 5 years. That is more than 86 sick days per year. So you might guess that calling in sick that often can get you into trouble, and you'd be right. In fact, the state judicial board has concluded that Los Angeles judge Patrick Murphy was, quote, not entitled to sick days, and that he was merely malingering. And they have in little quotes there, goofing off is what malingering means. While he was being paid $130,000 a year to be a judge.
$130,000?
To be a judge.
That doesn't seem like an excessive amount. I would think for a job that stressful, it should pay more than that.
I think that pays fine.
I would not want to be a judge.
Well, I wouldn't mind the $130,000 a year like he's been just calling
I just
in sick,
feel
so-
like that's not a ton
for a judge?
Right.
I don't know. I guess I don't know how much I would
I
expect.
mean, you're holding people's lives in your hands and their futures. I just feel like that should be a higher paying.
Well, judges
position.
everywhere agree with Heidi. So anyway, his excuse, he said he was plagued with various problems and sickness, including having a phobia for the job of judging.
I don't blame him.
Which is, now here's the best part, which is why he left the country and enrolled as a full-time medical student in Dominica while still on the courthouse payroll.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now that I have a problem with.
So, he was just phoning it in. Yeah, I'm still not feeling good. I'm going to be able to give me another 2 or 3 days. This cough is terrible.
Yeah, that I have a problem with. That's
Yeah,
not good.
That was a bad idea. Coming up, we're going to talk about a wedding that didn't go quite so well.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John and Heidi inviting you to join us for a party in paradise.
This is a week-long event with 80s music from over a dozen awesome bands.
And 80s movie and TV icons like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
We'll even get together to have some drinks with you.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
That's 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
The other day, a bride and groom in Romania, and actually it's just the groom, broke his ankle after falling down the stairs while carrying his new bride. So I guess they both fell.
Oh, holy cow.
Emil Dumitri had just rescued his bride from kidnappers in the country. It's a friendly
What?
tradition.
Oh.
Well, it's a friendly thing.
I was gonna
They
say-
kidnap the bride the night before the wedding. So this is they do that around here too. They'll do that. Well, let's steal the bride. It's not the night before the wedding though. They'll do that
It's usually
usually
at the
like the
wedding.
wedding party. Which I think is really rude, by the way. Don't do that. As a wedding DJ for 17 years, it is.
Yeah,
if you're gonna
everybody
do that-
starts to leave because they're like, wow.
And if you're going to do that, ask when it is an appropriate time.
yeah,
Because
I
a little
mean,
later
there are
in the evening,
times
we
later
don't
in the
need you guys.
evening when you can leave. But
Anyway, he rescued her and he fell down the stairs while carrying her, broke his ankle. It's actually the second incident of a similar nature that happened in Romania, just one other one in about a week ago. So says here the other caused the bride herself to spend time in the hospital. So they're falling down the steps while they're trying to get their brides back. That's not good.
John and Heidi.
If you need to break your sugar habit, here are some ideas that might work for you. First of all, Heidi, do you need to break a sugar habit?
nah.
Nah, you're okay with that? It says no more than 100 calories per day from added sugar. It says,
Yikes.
as a point of reference, a 12-ounce can of soda contains about 130 calories, so you're already over the limit. Naturally occurring sugar you can find in things like fruits and veggies and grains and dairy, and none of that counts because they're saying only added sugar. So you
Okay.
can have some yummy sweet stuff that's,
So you can't have chocolate.
yeah, I don't know, probably not. Or just less than 100 calories is what you'd need. Now, it says you can have fruit for dessert. They say skip the cookies and ice cream and make your way into a little bit of fruit for an after-dinner treat. You'll avoid added sugar and get some cancer-fighting antioxidants, and fiber from the fruit is good for you, too. There's a lot of good things there. We should have more fruit, but when we get it, I don't eat it. So maybe I should quit doing that. And the last one says ditch the soda. It says instead of treating yourself to a fizzy drink, have the no sugar added 100% fruit juice, and you'll be a whole lot better. So
Who was this study done by? The Center of People Who Hate Happiness?
it doesn't say, but I'm assuming that's probably right. All right, we got more fun stuff on the way.
John and Heidi.
Many people go to college, but when they graduate, they've racked up a ton of debt. Not everyone, though. Matthew Einstein saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then, after everyone wanted to know how he did it, he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for yourself or for your kids. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. That's freeeducationuniversity.com. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20%.
John and Heidi.
We live in a very impatient world, Heidi.
We
And I
do?
think in the United States, we're a little more impatient than other people in other parts of the world. So there's a company that decided to do a little survey to find out just how long will people hold on the line. And they had 1,000 people, 1,000 adults in a nationwide study, and it speaks volumes about how patient or not patient we are. More than half of us hang up after being on hold for a minute or less. Turns out we're very impatient. And that leads to us being rude to others, and it could also endanger us, our own lives. How do we endanger ourselves? By being impatient? According to this study, 80% of those surveyed said they are patient people by nature, but they also admit to the following. Rather than waiting for it to cool, 96% of adults will knowingly consume extremely hot food very often. Have you ever done that? I have. Burned my mouth on eating some hot pizza or something.
I mean, yeah.
I blow on it first.
Food comes, you got to eat it.
Okay, I blew on it. Now I'm going to try it. Ooh, still hot. And 63% admit that they do this frequently, by the way. 72% of those in their 20s and 30s, commonly known as the millennials, will push an already lit elevator button thinking that it'll speed up the elevator.
I think everybody does that. It's not millennials.
72%
that is just
of them, though.
people.
That is funny. I've done that. I've done it so many times. You're like, I pushed it, but I'm going to push it again.
Yeah.
71% frequently exceed the speed limit to get to their destination faster. I would never do that. And I would never mention that I do that on the radio.
Gosh.
Okay, I will admit, I've gotten more than my fair share of speeding tickets in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Half of U.S. adults will routinely honk their horn at people in the stoplight in front of them. When it turns green, they'll give them a couple seconds and then... Meep, meep.
I don't.
I don't do that either, but I caught myself doing that, and I knew that it was bad. I was like, okay, I got to quit doing that. And that's where, love is patient, love is kind. I started just reminding myself, be patient, be kind. Nearly 33% of those 18 to 24 will wait less than 1 second before bypassing a slow walker. So they won't walk behind somebody going slow. They'll just zoom around them. They're like, I am not going slow.
I do go past slow walkers
And
just because I do have places I need to be. Yeah.
And the final one on the list.
I feel bad about it when I'm passing them. I kind of look at them and smile.
Push them down.
Have a nice day.
No, you don't do that.
No.
And the last one, millennials will check their mobile phones an average of 8 times while they're waiting to hear back from somebody they're dating. So there you go. We're impatient. And we've got good news on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
Do you believe in miracles, Heidi?
Yes.
I do too. And I think our good news today might just be a miracle. Mom with stage 4 brain cancer given days to live, but then her church starts praying for her and this miracle happens. So no matter what your beliefs are, you got to look at this and go, wow, what happened here? A Georgia mom believes that prayer is so powerful that it helped her overcome a serious illness, one that doctors had predicted would take her life. A young mother-to-be living in Douglasville, Georgia, was excited about her pregnancy, but she noticed she had a little knot on the back of her head. At first she was thinking, it's nothing, I don't know what it is. And the more she thought about it, she realized, I should probably get this checked. She was 33 weeks when she was induced so the baby could be born, and she started treatments. And her first sign of a miracle was that in itself, that it all came together. Anyway, 4 days after the birth, she was in surgery, and it wasn't looking good. Doctors discovered the cancer had spread, and at this point they said it's inoperable, and they put her on an aggressive radiation treatment. Anyway, we'll cut to the cool part. They started praying, and they had their whole church around them. And she says, just a little over 7 months after being told her cancer was inoperable, she has a clean radiation scan. She's in remission.
Wow.
So I think that's awesome. And you can read the entire story. I got to try to speed read through this because we're almost out of time. But you can read the entire story on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. And I just think that's really cool. I love positive news. I love the good news stuff that we have around here. And I love it when people share good news with me. And if you've got some good news that you'd like to share, get it to me, and I'll gladly share it on the program here. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday.